What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody's doing fine. The new Eden season is over, and as per usual we're gonna be breaking it down, talking about the alliances that were in it, how the season went, and more importantly also discussing a bit about the Eden Conqueror, the new season 12 Eden format, as it's very important to understand how that map works and what strategies work on it to understand why the season is over and how we got there. So a lot to talk about. Let's not waste any time. Hit the intro and begin. So on our map we had the 4KS alliance, I-90, which is my alliance, XK again, and CNE, each with its own corner, and of course other alliances with each other faction, but we're just going to be focusing on the main alliances of each faction to make it more simple. Now let's discuss a bit about the new Eden and what comes with it. It's very similar to what we had in Eden Conflict. The only difference here is we don't have two factions, we have four. So what does that mean for the strategy that you need to put in the map? That means you're fighting on two fronts. On the good side, you have less things to worry about because others are fighting each other also. At least that should be the normal way. I'm pretty sure the developers thought about it this way when they made that map. Unfortunately, it doesn't necessarily go that way, because the only way you get that, the only way you get each faction having equal fighting on both sides, is if each faction is on the same level. Now it's harder to balance the power between two factions than it is to balance the power between four factions, at least my opinion, because there's less to look at and much easier to combine. Plus, because you're fighting on so many different fronts, it's much easier to ignore the little details between which faction is slightly stronger and slightly less stronger. But for example, on our map you have XK, you have I-90, and you have 4KS, three very strong alliances which definitely could have put up a fight against each other no matter how it was. But then you had CNE in one of the corners, which is in a totally different level. Like, no disrespect to them, their alliance is just not as strong as the other three. So they personally were in a disadvantage and were creating an advantage for other alliances on the map. Now the way you see it on the map, this is where the position of each main alliance was, and as you can see, I-90, my alliance, was on the left with 4KS and on the right with XK, which is as bad as you can go. Like, you had the two strongest ones left and right, and you had to fight your way through both of them to get towards the center. Where on the other side, in the opposite corner, you have CNE, which was a battle between 4KS and XK of who's gonna get more advantages by attacking the weaker alliances there. So this is why it's important to look at the format. If we would have four corners that are equally strong, then yes, you would have a sadistic battle till the end. And when it gets to the center area, which I was actually excited about, because it's still okay in the early stages and in the middle stages of Eden, but when you get to the center area where you have only two entrances to the temple, I can just imagine what a bloodbath would be if you have four very strong, equally strong alliances fighting to get that entrance. Now personally, the way I looked at the map, the moment I saw it, my first impression is the best strategy you can get on it is by allying yourself with another faction. So the main alliance from one faction allies itself with another faction not necessarily to decide which one of them is going to be rank 1, but to make sure that the other 2 are going to be left behind. The moment you secure the temple, it's all a battle of who takes the temple, and it's quite easy to do that because you only have 2 gates to enter the temple, and by having 2 against 1 pretty much, because you're always fighting individually and you can distribute your troops how you think it's better, you can also attack the capitals of the other factions and therefore get more merit. You can also break the spirit of the other faction by always being 2 factions against 1, and so on, because the mental games are also important in a strategy game, because this is why it's still a strategy game. So me personally, I believe that this is the best and easiest solution to winning, especially if you're ever gonna find yourself in a format where, again, it's this 4 faction format, and 2 alliances are much weaker, or you're all against 1 very strong alliance. Then I would definitely advise you to consider aligning yourself with other faction to destroy the stronger alliance. So how do you measure who's gonna get the rank 1 at the end? Well, first of all, it's important to maintain the merit above the other 2 factions. If you're just gonna allow yourself to hit everybody else, then you might as well act as an ally and just flip the temple. I think that's the easiest and finest way. You still won the entire map, both factions won, because you get the rank 1 and the rank 2, and then whoever gets the rank 1 is just gonna be decided by the temple. You just do 1 flip, whoever takes the temple takes the rank 1, and that's it. Easy peasy. Most efficient strategy I can think of. But I was expecting it to happen in this Eden because I knew 4KS and XK are friends, at least that's how I knew it. But I was pleasantly surprised to see that they were both at it individually. I don't know, it was because they just wanted the rank 1 no matter what, or they just wanted a good fight. Either way, it just was much better. It was way more action, way more fighting. The only sad part was XK took advantage of their position and got also the capitals from C and E, while I-90, my alliance, and 4KS were busy battling each other. And fair enough, it was more of a personal thing. It wasn't necessarily for objectives that were important. Obviously the objectives were part of the fighting, but the main reason why we focused on it is because both 4KS and I-90 love to fight. So we did a lot of fighting on our side, while XK focused on winning by going more towards C and E. Fair enough, they also took the capital on our side, which you got to give them props, but that was also because we were busy fighting 4KS. So I don't want to take anything away from XK. They won last season as we were in the same map, and they win this season also, so congratulations. You cannot get to that part unless you are damn good. So all the props. XK is an amazing alliance, but I do want to say that at least in this map, it was mostly because of the positioning on the map. While XK was getting the win, 4KS and I-90 were fighting each other. So how did the entire thing end? As pointed out, the lower part of the map was fighting each other, and that was pretty much the deciding factor, because we kind of got to the point where it didn't care anymore about XK or CNE. It was just a battle between us two, and we just got into the point where 4KS acknowledged that I-90 got more advantages, played better, whatever, however you want to call it. They accepted the rank 3 on the map, and then together with XK, we got to the agreement of just splitting the map like this. XK gets the rank 1, I-90 the rank 2, and 4KS the rank 3, followed by CNE as the rank 4 alliance or the rank 4 faction. And the reason why I-90 accepted such a thing was because of all the things I've stated at the beginning. The time and effort we put in fighting 4KS, as much as it was fun, it was the time where XK was getting the higher advantage. They had a better position, they had more troops because they were fighting less powerful castles. Not to say that they didn't want fighting, I know they're fighters, but till we got to the point where we confronted each other, us and 4KS were already damaged. So I believe that no matter what we did from that point on, neither 4KS or I-90 was in a position to push XK back and get the decisive gate towards the temple, because in this map, whether it's not the same like in the previous Edens. It's not about how much you work on left and right. Whoever gets the temple wins. Like, this is as simple as this map goes. You take the temple, you get rank 1, and then everybody else is gonna get depending on the capitals and the level 4 towns they have occupied. Besides the temple, whoever has more capitals gets more wins. And let's face it, if you're gonna get more capitals, then you're at least as strong as the other faction. So it's hard to think that they're just magically just gonna take away your merit afterwards. So the strategy behind the map is pretty simple, but this is the reason the map ended as it did. I'm pretty happy. It was an exciting, strong season. I'm happy with how our alliance fought, because the alliance is still newly formed. So overall, it was a pretty fun and exciting season. Congratulations also to 4KS. They definitely put up the fight, and they could have put up more fighting, but I guess this is also the smarter thing to do in this position where you find yourself, where you already had all the fighting done. Could you go longer? Yes. Was it worth it to go longer? Not really. Best case scenario, us and 4KS would continue fighting, but that would cost it a lot on specialty work, because the time you're not fighting, you're working on specialty. So it's nothing similar to what we had last season. Overall, again, it was a super nice season. I'm happy with it. Congratulations to everybody, and thanks again for checking in, guys. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown of the last Eden season. If you did, make sure to leave a like, as it does help me out to grow the channel, and subscribe to get notified of all the new videos coming out. But that's it from me. Thanks again for checking in, and I'll see you guys in the next